Good morning everyone. In our previous video, we have discussed lines 1 till 60 of Act 1, Scene 2. In this video today, we will discuss lines 61 till 122. So by the end of this video, you will be able to learn the explanation of lines 61 till 122 and you will learn the references and literary devices used in the lines 61 till 122. Let us start with the lines. Miranda, oh the heavens, what foul play had we, that we came from thence, or blessed was it we did. Now let us discuss the meanings of the following lines. Or blessed was it we did, it means or was it a blessed thing for us to do. Now we have earlier read that Prospero has told Miranda about his past. He has told her that he was the Duke of Milan and she was his only heir, his princess. So Miranda, when hears it, she with a sudden insight says, "Oh my God." She then asks Prospero if there was some plotting or planning responsible for their coming to this place. She asks him, what was it? She asks if it was good that they came here. Miranda's first thought is that her father must have come here or he must have been driven out by treachery. Her second thought is that he may have done it of his own free will because of some religious motive. Prospero, both, my girl, by foul lay, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence, but blessedly holp hither. Let us discuss the meaning of the words. Foul, it means criminal and violent activity. Heaved thence means driven from there. There, which place? Milan. Blessedly holp. Holp means help. Prospero says that both things that Miranda said were right, as there was a plot and it was good that they came here. Now he further explains that by a plot they were removed from Milan and by a stroke of good fortune or good luck they were helped onto the island. Let us discuss the gist of the lines. Miranda asks Prospero what evil things were done to them that they had been driven to this place. She further asks if it was a blessing that they came there. Prospero replies that it was both. They were pushed out of power by evil deeds, as she could call them, but they were blessed in being helped toward the island. Let us discuss the next lines. Miranda, oh, my heart bleeds to think of the teen that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, farther. So let us discuss the meaning and references along with the literary devices. My heart bleeds. This is personification. How? Because the heart has been given the quality of bleeding. So this means my heart is pained. To think of the teen that I have turned you to. This line means to think of the trouble to which I have put you. Which is from my remembrance. Which is from my remembrance means which is quite gone from my memory. Please continue. So Miranda says that her heart is pained when she thinks of the trouble that she as a little child must have given to Prospero, though she does not remember anything. She further tells her father to go on. Let us read the gist of these lines. Miranda feels sorry and says that it breaks her heart to think how painful it must be for him to recall all this, things that she can't remember. She further requests her father to tell her more. Let us read the lines 69 till 80. Prospero, my brother and thy uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee, mark me, that a brother should be so perfidious. He whom next thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state. Let us discuss the meanings. Mark me, hear me, or listen to me. Perfidious, treacherous. The manage of my state. That means entrusted the management of my dukedom. So Prospero tells Miranda that his brother and her uncle called Antonio, and then he leaves the sentence incomplete. He tells Miranda to listen to him carefully. He is actually overcome with deep emotions and is getting confused in his utterance. He begins the leftover sentence once again. So he tells Miranda to know that a brother could be so treacherous. He further says that if it was the same Antonio whom he loved next to Miranda in the world and to whom he handed over the management of his state. As at that time, through all the signories, it was the first, and Prospero, the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity and for the liberal art without a parallel. Now let us discuss the word meanings of the lines and the words. As at that time, through all the signories, it was the first. So this line means at that time, it refers to Milan. Milan was the foremost of all the states. Now signories were little states in Europe ruled over by a signor or a duke. Italy was formerly divided up into a number of such, just like the former Indian states. Prime Duke means foremost duke. Liberal art, the liberal arts were those connected with research and scholarship. Without a parallel, it means was without an equal in all the noble arts. So Prospero says that Milan at that time was recognized to be the first of all the principalities or seniorities in Italy. And Prospero, that is he himself, was the first among the dukes. He had the reputation for dignity and for his liberal arts without any parallel. Those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me? Now children, let us discuss the meanings. Transported means carried away. Wrapped means lost. Now Prospero says that he got interested in private studies and he left the administration of the state in the hands of his brother Antonio. Thus, he became a stranger to his own state because he was engrossed and wrapped up in occult studies. Now, what are occult studies? Secret or hidden studies. He further says to Miranda that her false uncle, and he then leaves the sentence incomplete. You can see a dash here. So, he leaves the sentence incomplete and he asks Miranda if she is attentive. Let us now read the gist of the lines. Prospero says that his brother, that is Miranda's uncle Antonio, he tells Miranda to just listen to this. He says that he still can't believe a brother could be so disloyal. His brother, whom aside from Miranda, he had loved more than anyone else in the world, whom he trusted to run his state, which at that time was the strongest in the land, and Prospero, the number one duke, famous for his dignity and his education. Since Prospero was so drawn to studying things like logic, grammar, geometry, and astronomy, he let his control of the government slide a bit, being too wrapped up in his occult books. Miranda's disloyal uncle, and then Prospero stops. He asks Miranda if she was paying attention. Now let us discuss the next lines from 81 till 90. Miranda, Sir, most heedfully. Prospero, being once perfected, how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance, and who to trash, for overtopping, new created, the creatures that were mine, I say, or change them, or else new form them. So Miranda says that she is listening to Prospero most carefully. Prospero says that by this time, Antonio had learned how to grant petitions and how to refuse them, whom to promote or whom to reduce. Because of becoming too prominent, he gave new appointments to those whom Prospero had created, or he replaced them or else made fresh appointments. Having both the key of officer and office, set all hearts in the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk, and sucked my verdure out on it. Thou attendest not? The children, let us discuss the meanings of the following lines. Verdure means greenness. That now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk and sucked my verdure out on it. Here Prospero uses a metaphor to explain the nature of Antonio. He compares Antonio to an ivy. The children, what is an ivy? An ivy is a vine. Now Prospero tells Miranda that his brother Antonio gained the key of office and control of all appointments and established his dominance over all men in the state. Gradually all men became subservient to his commands and did all that pleased him. The children, Shakespeare has used one more metaphor in this line with the word key, right? So he uses the key, this word, in the first place as the usual metaphorical sense of keys of office, that is the office power. And then he continues the metaphor by thinking of the keys of a harp, by means of which the musician tightens or loosens the string till he is pleased with the sounds they make. So what is a key? Key is used as an instrument which is used to tighten the harp. Now what is a harp? Harp is a musical instrument, right? Now Prospero again uses a metaphor to explore the nature of Antonio. He compares Antonio to an ivy. He says that Antonio kept him out of sight of people in the same way as ivy hides the trunk of a tree by climbing all around it and at the same time sucking all its juices. He then asks Miranda if she is listening to him or not. Let us now read the gist of the lines. Miranda tells her father that she is hanging on every word. That means she is listening to every word. Prospero further tells Miranda that once Antonio got the knack means skill, of granting certain requests, denying others, promoting some officials, and keeping down those who were getting too ambitious, he won over the people who used to be Prosperos, or changed them, or he remade them. Since he had control over the whole government and everyone in it, he soon made everyone sing his own song, whichever song he happened to like. That means he was ready to make everybody do whatever he has wanted them to do. He became like the ivy that sticks to the side of the tree and sucked Prospero's vitality out of him. He then tells Miranda that she is not paying attention. Let us read out the lines 91 till 107. Miranda: O good sir, I do. Prospero: I pray thee, mark me. I thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind, with that which, but by being so retired, overprized all popular rate in my false brother, awakened an evil nature. Children, let us discuss the meaning of the following words. Worldly ends means practical matters. Closeness, solitude. Bettering, improving. Retired, aloof. Now Miranda says that she is listening to every word of Prospero. Prospero tells her to be all ears now. He says that as he neglected all the practical matters, being totally dedicated to solitude and to improving his mind with subjects more valuable than most people imagine, He was so shut away from the world that he unwillingly stirred up evil wishes in his disloyal brother Antonio. And my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in his contrary, as great as my trust was, which had indeed no limit, a confidence sans bound. Now, children, let us discuss the meaning of the words. Sans means without, bound means limit. Now, if you can see, my trust like a good parent, it is simile. Prospero further says that his faith in Antonio, just like a good father who had begotten a bad son, created in him a falseness as great in the opposite direction as Prospero's faith was great. So this means Antonio's falseness was as great as Prospero's faith in him. Shakespeare had tells that a very good parent usually has a son of lesser virtue, right? He being thus lauded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else exact, like one who having into truth, by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory, to credit his own lie, he did believe he was indeed the Duke. Now children, let us discuss the meaning of the following words. Lauded, it means given the position of a lord. What is the meaning of my power? It means authority derived from me. Exact, obtained unjustly. Made such a sinner of his memory means made his memory sinful. So Prospero comments on the changed behavior of his treacherous brother, that is Antonio. He says that gradually he got control of everything in his hands and thus became a lord. He got enriched by the wealth which the legitimate sources of the state brought to him. He also got enriched by the money that he collected in the name of authority. Then he began to regard himself as the real Duke of Milan. He was like a man who, by constant telling of a lie, made his own memory believe that it was true, and thus began to believe that he was indeed the real Duke, though he was not. Just by performing the duties of a Duke, he started believing that he was the real Duke. Out of the substitution and executing the outward face of royalty with all prerogative, hence his ambition growing. Dost thou hear? Now let us discuss the meaning of the following words. Out of the means as a result of the. Substitution means taking the place of another. And executing the outward face of royalty with all prerogative. It means performing all the outward duties of a king with full authority. Now children, this thing was the result of his acting as a deputy in the place of the real Duke, which actually was Prospero. And by doing all the works of a king, that is performing all the duties of a king with full authority, Antonio's ambition began to rise higher and higher. After this, Prospero again asks Miranda if she is listening to him. Let us read the gist of the lines. Miranda tells her father that she is listening to him. Prospero requests her to listen to him carefully. He says that as he neglected practical matters, being totally dedicated to solitude and to improving his mind with subjects more valuable than most people imagine, he was so shut away from the world that he unwittingly stirred up an evil wish in his disloyal brother. Prospero's deep trust in him made him deeply untrustworthy, arousing in him a treachery as big as Prospero's trust was. His trust, which had no limit, and infinite confidence. With Antonio possessing such powers and wealth, coming not only from Prospero's income, but also from his ability to take whatever Prospero's authority allowed him to take, Antonio started to believe that he was the Duke, like some liar who begins to believe in his own lie. He put on the face of royalty with all the rights that go along with it, with his ambition growing like this. And then Prospero again asks, "Do you hear what I am saying, Miranda?" Now let us discuss the lines 108 till 118. Miranda, your tale, sir, would cure deafness. Prospero, to have no screen between this part he played and him he played it for. He needs will be absolute Milan. Now children, you can see here a hyperbole has been used in this line. Your tale, sir, would cure deafness, because no tale can cure deafness. So it is just an exaggeration. So that is why a hyperbole has been used. Also, it is a metaphor, as comparison of tale to remedy has been done, right? So to have no screen between this part he played, the part of a duke he was playing, though he was not the real duke, and him he played it for. For whom did he play? He played it for Prospero. He needs will be absolute Milan. Now children, let us discuss the complete line, that there might be no barrier between the part he played and the actual rulership. He must necessarily be the duke all in all. So Miranda says to Prospero that his story would create an interest in the deaf even, or it can even cure the deafness. Prospero, in a tone of self-pity, says that Antonio believed that there might be no barrier between the part of the duke he played and the actual rulership of a duke. He must necessarily be the duke all in all. He completely wanted to be the duke and not the deputy who was doing the work. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough of temporal royalties. He thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry he was for sway with the king of Naples, to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping. Now children, let us discuss the meanings. Confederates means conspires, dry means thirsty, sway means power, stooping, lowering oneself. Now children, in the first two lines we can see a metaphor has been used. Now Prospero compares his library to his dukedom. Now Prospero says that Antonio began to consider him a worthless fellow and thought that his library was a fair substitute for his dukedom. He began to think that Prospero was now totally unfit to exercise any political authority. He became so ambitious and greedy for power that he entered into a contract with the king of Naples. He agreed to pay an annual tribute to the king of Naples. He gave him respect as a superior person and accepted a subordinate position. In this way, he placed the dukedom of Milan under the humiliating control of Naples. It was a distressing situation for the unfortunate people of Milan, who had never accepted subservience to any external authority. And now they have to bend in front of the king of Naples. Let us now read the gist of the lines. Miranda says to Prospero that what he was saying could cure deafness. She says that she is hearing. Prospero further says that to make his political performance absolutely perfect, Antonio simply had to become the Duke of Milan. Prospero's library was a large enough dukedom for him. So now Antonio judged Prospero incapable of carrying out his duties. Antonio was so power hungry that he allied himself with the king of Naples, agreeing to pay him a regular annual sum, swear subservience to him, and put the dukedom of Milan, never subservient to anyone before, under the humiliating control of Naples. Children, let us discuss the lines from 119 to 122. Miranda, oh, the heavens! Prospero, Mark his condition and the event. Then tell me if this might be a brother. Miranda: I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons. Now, children, let us discuss the meanings of the following words: condition, contract; event, situation. Good wombs have borne bad sons. That means good mothers sometimes do bear bad sons. The children, here antithesis or paradox has been used, which means two opposite things. Good wombs and bad sons are totally opposite. So either you can say antithesis or paradox has been used. Now children, Miranda is in an extreme shock and therefore she suddenly says, "Oh, the heavens." Prospero further tells Miranda to mark or observe the terms of his agreement with the King of Naples and its result. And he further asks Miranda to tell him if a brother could ever be like him. Miranda says that she would be a sinner to think otherwise than honorably of her grandmother. That means to think that her grandmother was not good. But she believes that good mothers have borne bad sons in their wombs and given birth to them. Let us discuss the gist of these lines. Miranda gets shocked and says, "Oh heavens!" Prospero tells her to think about that and about what followed afterward. Then he asks her to tell him if Antonio could be called a brother. Miranda says that it would be wrong for her to think poorly of her grandmother. But it is true that good women sometimes give birth to bad sons. So children, that is all for the video today. And for your homework, plan extracts 3 and 4 on workbook with pencil. Thank you.